Out of all the deaths you've seen in movies, which one really stands out to you as the worst? Comments. That shoe from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, it was so happy and friendly, and then it gets slowly dipped to death. The smoke and its cries of pain are burned into my mind, 5+ years later. My husband and I remember this movie wildly differently. For him, it was an exciting adventure, and for me, it was the stuff of my recurring nightmares for years. The soldier in Saving Private Ryan that had the knife slowly plunged into his chest after a hand-to-hand fight, and he was begging the other soldier to stop. Intense. For me, it's Saving Private Ryan, but the scene where the medic dies and he's crying for his mother, that shit fucked me up for the rest of the night, especially after hearing his backstory. This scene really reminds me of the scene from Black Hawk Down. There the guy had his femoral artery cut and they are trying to pinch off the bleeding all night long after working on him and stabilizing him, only to have it jump up into his leg and lose him after so much was already done. That fucking wine bottle scene in Pan's Labyrinth, the casual brutality is so horribly realistic. In Germany, this movie was rated for 12 years old, but just a few days. Normally Germans take the rating really serious. I don't know how this could happening. My best friend and I rented that movie when it came out on DVD. Turns out it's not a kids movie, like we thought it was. Edit. Turns out a bunch of you folk can't speak didgeridoo. The Curb Stomp. American History X, that one was terrible. The dead, dried up baby in Trainspotting will haunt me for the rest of my days, when it later crawls on the ceiling during his withdrawal from heroin. I remember that movie as also being pretty great, with some funny parts as well as the disturbing ones, but I can never, ever watch it again. Hilary Swank in $1 Million Baby. Almost becoming world champion, then paralyzed, her family only caring about the money she won from boxing, then having her limbs chopped off because of bed sores that got infected. All this just to be put down as an act of kindness, like the story she foretold of her dog she grew up with. I will never watch that movie again. Edit. What made it all worse was I thought it was going to be a female version of Rocky. It was not. I watched that movie as a kid and it disturbed me how she tried to commit suicide by biting her own tongue and hoping she would bleed to death from it. Joe Pesci and his brother being bludgeoned to death with bats in the desert in Casino /Strong was pretty tough to watch, especially since Pesci's own right-hand man throughout the film ended up taking part in the beating. Kinda wrong. The way his voiceover narration cuts off mid-sentence. Pesci has that sheet coming though. He's literally the reason everything bad happens. Well, him and Ace's wife. Don't forget, they were still alive when they buried them. Only Pesci. He was made an example of by being buried alive. His brother was mercifully killed, but in front of Pesci, as a way of making him suffer more. Old Sicilian sheet. You don't see it happen, and for good reason. The prostitute in SE7EN. Everyone always talks about the box, but that was so fucking tame compared to the lust killing. Sloth was horrible. It took a year less than /m greater than for that man to die. Macaulay Culkin getting stung by bees. Vada's reaction is heart-wrenching. He can't see without his glasses. He needs his glasses. Where are his glasses? He can't see without his glasses. The movie is my girl, for anyone wondering. I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid, and it still sticks with me. The old man Brooks, who hangs himself from the Shawshank Redemption. Get busy living, or get busy dying. The kid in Alpha Dog. If you don't know the story, them actually going through with it is a real gut punch. Alpha Dog is a really solid movie. The end is heart-wrenching after all of that build-up. It's a movie that definitely deserves more respect than it gets. Emil from RoboCop, he falls into toxic waste, gets hit by a car, and pretty much disintegrates. Neil Perry's death in Dead Poets Society. The fact that he's like the older brother of the group, and is the one that always seemed to light up the mood, only to die right after he was finally able to do the stage play. It's irritating and annoying how his parents blame Neil's teacher, rather than realizing that they're the ones who contributed to the character's suicide. Rufio getting killed by Captain Hook in Hook. That was the first on-screen death that fucked with me bad. For me, it was the guy that gets locked in the treasure chest with scorpions dropped in. Still makes me nauseous. As I recall, that guy is Glenn Close. Looky, I got hooky.